All right, it's the newspaper review segment of Daybreak, and of course, as is customary, I have a copy of the Daily Trust with me. Front page of the Daily Trust, lead story says, Northwest governors unite against insecurity, exploring comparative advantage, our strength, according to Governor Rada. We have what it takes to defeat bandits, according to Lowell. UNDP, others, pledge continued support. And on the minimum wage, governors, Labour convene emergency meeting as FEC steps down memo on minimum wage. Out on page 25, custom officer slumps, dies during reps committee's investigative hearing. Worst of Naira volatility over, says Cardoso, the CBN governor. Let's hope so. Page 19 has that story. And these are some of the stories on the front page of the Daily Trust. Quickly, we move now to the Nigerian Tribune. Above this day, top of the page says Wale Edun, Tinubu's government has revamped Nigeria's economy. Says Nigeria's total debt stock dipped by 15% in dollar term. Puts outstanding ways and means at 3.4 trillion naira. DMO, FX interest rates, securitization of ways and means pushed up public debt. Multilateral creditors owed $20.82 billion. China, $5 billion. Also, Julian Assange leaves prison in plea deal with U.S. government. Lead story on This Day newspaper says, to resolve FX liquidity pressures, CBN orders banks, IMTOs to settle diaspora remittances in Naira. Move to boost access, strengthen local currency, provides option for same-day settlement. Cardoso, CBN will adhere to conventional methods to tame inflation, optimistic on achieving price stability. Also, 5 persons shot dead, dozens wounded as protesters storm parliament in Kenya. And also now to the Tribune newspaper. Top of the page says, no plan to dethrone Sultan, according to the Sokoto government. Students' loan, FG postpones application process for state institution. Customs Deputy Controller General slumps, dies at reps investigative hearing. Also, cholera, FEC approves Interministerial Committee on Emergency Operations. We also have FEC steps down memo on new minimum wage. Tinubu to consult governors, private sector. Information Minister says wage award will continue for now. We expect new wage implementation by July ending, according to Labour. Also, Ways and Means securitization responsible for 24 trillion naira debt rise. Cardoso expresses optimism about taming inflation, says CBN will adhere to conventional methods. Page 6 has that story. And also, explosion rocks Port Harcourt, kills dynamite-bearing protester. Anti-Fubara forces enjoying federal might, Clarks tells Tinubu. These are some of the stories on the front page of the Tribune. We'll now go to the blueprint, where top of the page says reps confirm death of customs officer who slumped during committee's session. Don't promote terrorist propaganda, Idris cautions media. In business, Nike provides 1.014 trillion insurance cover to agri projects in 5 years. Also, sports, Renard not on NFF's shortlist to replace Finidi. Lead story on the blueprint says Ways and Means Forex pushed nation's debt to 121.67 trillion naira, according to the Debt Management Office. FCT 36 states domestic external debts inclusive. CBN seeks end to excessive forex volatility. Also, FEC approves 1.99 billion naira CNG vehicles, 985 million naira body scanners for NDLEA. Also, minimum wage, Tinubu to consult with governors, labor, private sector. Workers expect living wage from July, according to the Trade Union Congress. Some other stories there says free trade zones remitted 11.1 billion naira in 3 years. That's according to NEPSA. And also, Kogi's IGR hit 23.5 billion naira per annum. Rivers local government crisis. Protesters defy police, labor, Algon warning. And also on the belt, Senate never proposed new aircraft for Shatima and Tinubu. And that's according to the Senate President, Godswill Akpabio. And now we have joining us in the studio, Ben Shemang. He retired as a director at the Voice of Nigeria. Good morning and welcome to the program, editor.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's start with the Daily Trust, of course, talking about the Northwest Security Summit that's held in Katsina. Editor, what do you make about these workshops and talk shops that the Nigerian government has had over the years, to tame insecurity without or with little to no results to show for it?
Yeah, you see, yes, workshops might be needed, but they should not be too much. Because even at that, you could see that, the Northwest zone with 7 states, most populated, and so many out-of-school syndrome, and the insurgency is there. It's nice that they have such meetings, but again, why is it taking the United Nations Development, UNDP? Why is it taking the German government,
the Norwegian
government, to help us see what is dangerous ahead of us? I think it's just not too okay in my thinking. But these people, they could assist by way of giving Nigeria the facilities. When I say facilities, in particular, the hardware, in terms of even what you can use for intelligence gathering, unmanned surveillance equipment, we could have them. Because it's a dangerous trend that is moving now. And still talking about that summit, you could see governors saying, we have what it takes. So what is happening? So what it takes, is it the personnel that you have? What it takes, are you talking of the equipment that you have? Or what really do you have? You have the intellectual capability, the intelligentsia. I mean, looking at the intelligence community, you mean we have them to take care of all of that. And when you're talking about the Northwest, so to speak, you see, by the time you're going northeast, of course you have states bordering the northeast. So if you take care of the northeast, you do a super push, they go to northeast from the northwest. Now, if super pushing is going on, northwest also borders the Federal Capital Territory, because Kaduna is a boundary just around Buhari area. Then the Niger State is there, Kogi State is there, So these are contiguous states, and I would have thought that as much as this division is having its security summit, we should be thinking of the central, and including Abuja, also having their own meetings, so that they harmonize it. In as much as the heat is on them in any of these geopolitical zones or regions, then the bandits will move to the other. And let me tell you, I was almost kidnapped on Friday, around Makabun, Kagoro, and Kaura local government.
Oh, wow.
I just escaped by the whiskers. These guards mounted with stones, they blocked the road, and so a jeep was coming opposite my direction, almost hitting one of them, then they scampered, and in the process of shouting and all that, so some vigilante groups came in, and that also tells you community policing. I'm not yet talking of state policing. Community policing is very, very vital, because I could see that the vigilantes that came from Kaguru actually saved me from being kidnapped. But my cousin was kidnapped, the same spot. So what am I trying to say? If you now bring in pressure to bear around that area, they could now move to the contiguous state of Plateau, or they move to the contiguous state of Nasarawa. So why don't we have a harmonized kind of a thing? And my experience following soldiers to go to the northeast, go to some of the battlefields, even sleeping, via staying overnight with soldiers in various camps or where they were fighting terrorism. I could see the role of what I will call community policing. By that, I'll go to the Civilian Joint Task Force, CJTF. These are civilians, young guys, boys and girls, youths who felt that, look, they have a stake in Northeast. And you could see that because they are natives. They are from there. They knew every nook and cranny. They also know quite a lot of the youths who indeed were on the other side, the enemy, so to speak. And you could see that, look, some of the Boko Haram would prefer to be arrested by soldiers than the Civilian Joint Task Force, because the Civilian Joint Task Force, they are always ahead, you know. And so I think time has come therefore that every community should begin to have this kind of a thing. If, for example, as we were under attack, Kagoro youths came out, Marwa youths came out, Katav youths came out, Baju youths came out, Fantram youths came out, you could see that there will be no escape. But this, my cousin was taken, and of course, ransom was paid. Let's not tell a lie. Ransom was paid. He's been released. So, if the state governor, as a governors are saying they have what it takes, please, let's see what it takes. And if you're going to do community policing, involve every tribe, you know, and involve, the intelligent community. And a situation where at the point you see some altercations between the governor of Zamfara and the military hierarchy as to who is at fault, I think it doesn't augur well in terms of security in Nigeria. And Zamfara is part of this Northwest where they're talking of security. And when the army will say, look, Zamfara happens to be a state where you have some little presence of communities trying to have what you call those trying to provide security to the army, to the navy, in fact, security network architecture. You see that Zamfara is a kind of
but Katsina is a different kettle of fish. We're talking about issues that breaches in Kankara, the Musa, and all of the adjoining local governments. Some would say that the Northwest is fast becoming the most unsafe in terms of all of these security breaches. Do you agree with this position?
Well, in terms of, sometimes you have to go into statistics to buttress these allegations. But all the same, we do know that attacks are going on. And one would have thought that with the military in Niger Republic, that would be a no-nonsense kind of a thing. And sometimes you could also see that they're actually catching some fellows that have been declared wanted in Nigeria. They have been caught in the Niger Republic. Good thing. So if, we're talking of security, the Nigerian army could join hands with Nigerian security, and before you know it, the border lines are protected, so that whoever is an insurgent is in Niger Republic is being taken care of by the military there. The ones that are in Nigeria, they have been taken care of. So if you have a cordon from boundary, you face your territory. Those others who face that territory, you now take the fight inwards to your territory. I think we'll reach somewhere.
Indeed. Also, at the Federal Executive Council meeting yesterday, the memo on the minimum wage was stepped down for reasons being that the federal government will need the input from state, local governments, the organized private sector, and the labor unions, like they say. But then again, they say the meeting will be held today between all of these parties. What do you make of it?
I think that President Tinubu has now seen the need to hold consultations.
He has decided to lead from the front.
Exactly, because on the day of swearing in, he just in front of the mic and told the world, look, subsidy on fuel was gone. And from that time, we've not had it that nice. So it looks like he has seen, okay, maybe there was a miscalculation that time. Let's now involve everybody. And when you're talking of a tripartite meeting, you're talking of labor. It's organized labor. It is a force to be reckoned with. You have government on the side, on the other side. Then you have the organized private sector, two bodies that are so organized, so to speak. Now, if you are involving the organized private sector, you are also involving a group like Daily Trust TV, for example. If, therefore, it becomes a law that you have to pay maybe 80,000 naira as the least minimum or the minimum wage for a Nigerian worker, it follows that the private sector will have to follow suit. So even though some governors, as state governments, as we have it now, are paying more than the 30,000 on the ground, but the 30,000, there are some states that are still owing workers. They are incapable, or they cannot pay, or they don't want to pay, or they don't want to work very hard to pay. But you see, truly, if we go into massive farming, some of these things will overcome them. When you just say mining, you say petroleum, you say solid minerals, they should be the mainstay. When you overtax these people, you squeeze them, you give them 30,000, give them 60,000, and they have to pay tax. You go
VAT and all of that.
VAT, just name everything you have to pay. In the end, you are given the right hand, then it is taken away from the left hand. And in terms of some of these things, let us, security and even making money for Nigeria, many of the places you can see the crises that are going on in the north. You see, there's always the discovery of precious stones. Mining activities, illegal miners are all over the place. When thieving of crude oil was too much, at the point Goodluck Jonathan advocated that the world should make, just there was there was a blood diamond in Sierra Leone and Liberia. Why don't you make a kind of blood, petrol blood? When you buy from an illegal source, you don't even know where it's from. It is a kind of blood oil, so to speak. Now, can we begin to borrow that? When you do illegal minings in Nigeria, we don't process them here, but we can see that the Minister of Mining, Adele Alake, is insisting that Nigeria should have some lithium processing companies in Nigeria. It's a good omen. But when people want to ferry these things out of the country, are there no checks? Don't they pass airports? Don't they pass seaports?
All of the designated exit points in Nigeria.
Yes. So why are we just interested? You take raw materials so cheap, go produce them over there, and you come and kill us with prices. So I think the government should put its thinking cap very well. Security agencies should do their best. Again, you look at where police would have come on board. You're talking of 9 years now. You have not been able to recruit 10,000 per year, and this is where we are. So it's just not the best.
Indeed. So much to say. Editor has indeed so much to say on the issues, especially as it relates to the state of the nation. But unfortunately, this is where we have to pull the plug on the program. It's been 2 hours of conversation from the start of the program till now. Editor, thank you so much for joining the newspaper review. Ben Sheman retired as the Director of News at The Voice of Nigeria. And that's a wrap on the program. We do hope you enjoyed it from the start up to this point. And do also follow us across all of our social platforms. And also join our live stream on YouTube for more news programs and documentaries. Up next is 360 Sports. I'm Sagir Ibrahim. Thanks for watching. Join us again tomorrow.